Hey guys, Motorcarnut here, and today we're talking about head gasket failure and if your car has it. In this video, I'm going to explain the symptoms, the causes, and the fix. So at the end of the video, you can pretty much determine if your car does indeed have a head gasket failure or it's something else. Now, number one, what is a head gasket? Well, here's one. It's basically a gasket that goes in between the cylinder block and the cylinder head. And that's this gasket. And this gasket has compression for the cylinders, for the pistons. It also has coolant and oil passages. All right, so now the coolant and oil from the oil pump and the water pump that pump through the cylinder block go through this gasket up into the head to cool it and lubricate it. Now, when this gasket does fail, all right, you can have all different types of symptoms. I'm going to explain them. You can have compression loss systems. You can have the pressurized coolant system. You can have the oil mixing with the coolant, corrosion, misfiring, all that bad stuff. Here's another head gasket. See that? It's in between the cylinder block and the head. You have the gasket, and the symptoms. We're going to explain the symptoms. The causes is basically overheating, or in some cases corrosion. Overheating is the number one cause of a blown head gasket. Lack of cooling. And it's usually it could be a lot of things that blow the head gasket, the water pump. You have a leak you didn't catch in time in the cooling system, and it ran low and heated up the head because there's more heat on the head than in the block. Because here is the combustion chambers, and that's where the combustion of the spark fuel and pressure, and it's like little explosions in these cylinders. So you can imagine in this area, and the exhaust ports are right here or on any other engine, but they're usually right like that. Causes a lot of heat, and it needs the coolant. Now, as soon as that coolant is not reaching the top for whatever reason, the cylinder head will warp, and usually it warps this way. All right, and usually a lot of times, yeah, it blows the gasket, but the gasket never really blows out. It's the cylinder head that warps and creates like an arch, and usually, it's on the middle point right here, between the second and third cylinder, and this can cause a lot of things. This can cause, now, instead of the compression being compressed and going through the right process through the intake and exhaust ports, it's finding its way wherever it can. So if it goes into the coolant, it's going to pump up the coolant. And that symptom of pumping up the coolant means when you try to crank over the car, the coolant hose is going to get rock hard. I'm going to show you that in the other car. Another one is you have your oil passages and the coolant. And the coolant can go into the oil can go into the coolant. It mixes, the crankshaft mixes it, and you get that chocolate shake symptom. That's another symptom that you have a blown head gasket. Now, the failure caused by corrosion could be an old gasket, a car that's been running great, but you haven't been maintaining your coolant. And what happens, especially if you don't use distilled water, you use regular tap water, no good. All right, and if you don't maintain your coolant system every 2 years, flush it and everything, it can eat away at the gasket. And what's it going to do? Some of these coolant passages are very close. See this? This coolant passage, and this is the compression right here, this little area. All right, and the water and the coolant can just eat away at this metal and cause a head gasket failure. That's a true head gasket failure with no warpage. All right, and I've seen that too. And that's avoidable if you maintain your coolant system. You have bellowing white thick chunks of smoke coming out the back of the car. That is an indication of a head gasket. I'm not talking about when you first start the car up, that light condensation white smoke. That's normal. I'm talking about thick smoke that, like in a couple of minutes, you won't see the car behind you. All right, so another head gasket symptom would be if the engine is running rough. Now, as you can imagine, it could be running rough because coolant is entering in the combustion chamber, throwing everything off. That's going to give you a misfire. All right, and stalling too. You start the car, it runs rough and stalls, or sometimes it won't even start at all. All right. On this particular engine, what happened? I didn't take it apart yet, but what happened with this one is this piece is in the coolant system. It has the coolant hoses that go to the engine, into the radiator. It's like a little thing by its own. It cracked. And when it cracked, the owner saw the smoke, but she was on the highway and couldn't pull over until she was safe, because after all, safety is number one. And she did pull over, and it got towed to another shop. They replaced this, hoping that it didn't, overheat too much, and it didn't solve the problem. So now I have it. So now what I noticed on this one, the symptom of this car is, you see how it's nice and soft? This car is ice cold. All right. Now, when I just crank it, go pop, 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 and I come out, you hear, it's like so much pressure in this hose that I know the only way that can happen is if the head that warped and it blew the gasket, and now the compression is pumping up the coolant system, probably right in this area. All right. And causing that problem. So either way, the head has to come off. Sometimes you can have a cracked head, but it's kind of rare on the newer cars. I haven't seen them really on the newer cars. You would see them on the older ones, but on the newer ones, I don't see it as much. So 99% would be a head gasket, cylinder head warpage problem. The symptoms would be thick white smoke coming from the exhaust, and not necessarily in this order. But these are the symptoms, so you can diagnose your own car if you think, or if you're not even sure and you just want to, and if you have a lot of these symptoms, chances are you probably have a blown head gasket. Is the thick white smoke billowing through the exhaust system. Coolant mixing with the oil. You can check that in the overflow tank or expansion tank. Even on a dipstick, you pull it out. If it has that chocolate milk, like, a chocolate shake look, that's a sign you're mixing with oil. Now, not on every car, on that, like some BMWs have engine coolers, and they're cooled by oil. The coolant cools the oil that goes and recirculates into the engine. That could also give a milkshake appearance, but you won't be seeing white smoke and nothing like. That's a totally different thing. Just to clear that up. All right. So you have the vehicle is overheating, and an overheat, like I said, especially on this one, it's pumping up the system with air instead of circulating coolant. You can't have air in the system, and so now the cylinder head is getting so much hot because the coolant is not circulating. So overheating. Then you have obvious reasons would be steam coming out of the engine, anywhere from a broken hose, anything in the coolant system that cracked. You'll see steam. If you shut the car off right away, chances are you could save it, 50-50 that you could save it. But if you just keep driving it or just keep adding coolant to get you home, it may blow the head gasket. All right, and running rough, installing, I just said, those are symptoms, because anything that goes into the combustion chamber, coolant or oil or whatever like that, is going to affect the combustion, the fuel mixture and everything that's going to give you a misfire. Okay, so that's the symptoms and the causes. And basically the only fix would be to remove the head. All right, replace the gasket, and maybe the head. You got to check the head for straightness. I have all videos on how to check cylinder head, cylinder blocks for straightness with a mechanic's straight edge. I'll put that in the link. All right, and I'm going to do this engine. And when I take this engine apart, I'm going to put this video in that link so you can see exactly what happened with this one. Now, let me show you. On this one, the symptom I have, as I said before, is we know it overheated. All right. So that's number one. Number two is when I crank the car over, sometimes it starts, sometimes it doesn't. When I crank the car over, this immediately gets hot and has pressure. So like I said before, the pistons are pumping up the coolant system. So I know the only way that could happen is if there's a disruption in this head gasket, meaning that the head swelled up, warped, and combustion goes into the coolant. Now, here, I'm squeezing this now. This is ice cold. All right? No big deal. All right, look. Okay. So now, watch this. I'm going to go around here. And all I'm going to do, I really don't want it to start because what it will do, it's going to force more coolant pumped into the exhaust system. And when I fix the car, it's going to burn coolant. I don't really want to do that. So here we go. All right. See, I just did that. It started, but was running rough. But you said it was like, pop, 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 vroom, and that's it. Now, come over here. And this is already extremely hot. Now, listen to this. You heard that? Okay. How it pumped it up immediately. So that's super blown. So, well, now you know. If you got any of those symptoms, you may have a head gasket problem. If you don't have any of those symptoms, or maybe one or two, but nothing with the smoke or the or nothing with the coolant mixing with the oil, something visual you can see, you could have another problem with your vehicle. I don't know what it could be. Valve timing, it could be fuel related, ignition. All right, not necessarily always a head gasket problem. And head gaskets, a lot of people are asking me, head gaskets do not give you an engine rod knock. They don't do that. All right, they just don't do that. That's a different. I have videos on that too. That's a different problem. So hopefully this helped you out, guys. You have any questions pertaining to this video, leave them below. I answer all my questions, try to help everybody out. All right, guys, Motorcarnut, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.